All right. I think we're on. I think we're live. Welcome back. It's been a couple. You're probably up late like me. Sunday night, chasing them blues away. Hope you're having a good one out there. Hope you're having a good week. Getting some of those projects done, getting caught up on those assignments, staying ahead of the work, but still carving time out for your passion. It's not always easy. It's a late show here again, guys. Art Dad's, God, it was a weird, busy day. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to have you here with me. Thanks for joining. I'm Trey Gallaher. If you don't know me, I'm an artist, illustrator, visual developer, educator, and art dad. So yeah, tonight is going to be the late show, but I wanted to get out here because it's been a couple. It's been a few. So I wanted to get a little something done. I think last time we left off, we were working on that interior design space for the shepherd's hut. But tonight, I just want to kick back and I just want to do something a little bit chill. I've kind of had this idea in my head that I've wanted to do. I've been thinking a lot about my dad lately, actually. And his birthday's coming up. So I wanted to do maybe a drawing for him. So I don't know if he'll catch this or watch this. Probably won't. But if he does, maybe it'll make it even nicer. But I wanted to do a little drawing for old Pops. And I have a wonderful and unique dad who was a physics teacher and an astrophysics lover, and was one of my first big introductions to the idea of asking questions and space and the idea of like what's out there. And I think my dad had a lot more of the probability realistic approach to looking at space, where I, being a young person and growing up on Star Wars, was probably much more interested in this idea of the fantasy of it all, the storytelling, the dramatics, which I think my dad humored and was pretty good natured about. But I think the part he loved is when they did it right in films and storytelling, when they got the physics right and the believability of it actually happening, of things that could happen for real in space travel. And even if, let's say, you're going to imagine something that is beyond our galaxy or beyond where we're at, that at least if you're going to depict space, that you try to get it right. And movies like, I think of like 2001, A Space Odyssey, Arthur C. Clarke. I think of, that was probably the big one that was really important to me as a kid, that I think we found a mutual love and an amazement of. And really, that movie was done right, depicting space the way space should be, the way space probably really would be. At the same time, exploring fantastic ideas about what's beyond and our understanding and our comprehension of time and space and the meaning of it all. So obviously, an amazing, influential movie on many people who would depict space and science fiction, science fantasy thereafter. So I've always had this great relationship with my dad, and every time I would start to go out there and think about the fantasy aspect, I always have this little voice of my dad in the back going, how could that be more believable? Like, how could that actually be closer to real? And I think that's why, for me as an artist and as a creator, I walk that line between amazing, fantastic, creative, beautiful, amazing looking images, but at least with that question in my head of what would make this more believable, more real, more plausible, more probable that this could maybe happen? Or how would it look if it were a little bit more on the realistic tip? And I've always been grateful for that, because I've had many influences in my life that have influenced me creatively and artistically and storytelling, and amazing visual artists and developers. But I've always had my dad in the back of my head with me, getting me to ask those little bit more specific questions and getting me to think about it with a little bit more of maybe a realistic bent to things. And I think that definitely has had an influence on me, definitely as a creative, as an artist too. I think I struggle and go back and forth between real and believable and just all out, maybe style or fantastical. But I think that's a healthy balance. Artists have always had this relationship up there with philosophers and thinkers and people who are expanding our minds and taking us places. And you have to ask questions. And I think that's the job of an artist, whether it's figuring out how something is made and turning it over and looking at it, or whether it's wondering what ifs and what would that look like. I think there's a lot of similarities there. Creators, artists, thinkers, scientists, mathematicians, who are also creative people in their own worlds. That is what ties us together, is that curiosity. So anyway, I want to do this piece, and I don't know how far I'm going to get tonight, because where we are, it's late. And of course, I'm up late as I finally getting a chance to draw a little bit here for stream. And I just wanted to take a drawing here and do something fun, something I've kind of been picturing in my head. And this is going to be something really kind of dedicated to my dad. So I wanted to do something that kind of puts him in the picture. And I think I've had this idea going for a while. So tonight, that's what I'm going to be working on. I hope you got something that you're working on with me. If you're up late with me and you're live, or maybe it's daytime where you are, I don't know. But for here, it's late. So if you're on my time, it's late. You're probably up working on something, can't sleep, doing some schoolwork, getting ready for the week. But in this house, it's finally quiet and it's finally peaceful, and it's time to settle into some really fun drawing. So thanks for coming along, and I appreciate you being here. Pull yourself up a beverage, and let's spend some time together. I don't know how long it'll be. Could be an hour or so, but I might end up breaking this up into 2 sessions. We'll have to see. But let's just enjoy some time together. Keep me on in the background back there. I don't generally play music. I usually have a little music going in my cans here, but if you have some music on in the background where you're at, then you can pick and choose what you like to listen to, okay? All right. Well, let's see here. Tonight I'm working on, let me check one thing here. See how our stream health is going. Looks like we're doing okay. All right. Right, just give me 1 second here. All right. Okay. Hey, you can kind of see actually up there. I guess up there. Oh, well, an image of my dad. I'm trying to figure out where my image is, but up there in the corner, I had an image of my dad that rolled by earlier. So if you kind of have some idea what he looks like, so he's kind of a bearded guy, good philosopher look, good scientist look. He has a beard, but not a full beard, more like a heavier sized goatee, white haired now. Um, but I wanted to do him in a spacesuit. So I'm kind of thinking about this from the standpoint of maybe like a headshot with him inside the spacesuit and kind of looking at space helmets. So I'm going to look over here, and yeah, I have kind of a couple references here scattered on my desktop, which I'm kind of just using generally, and I'm just going to kind of wing it a little bit, but it should get the idea across. Also, in my head, in my earphones, I am listening to the Planets by Holst. So this is sort of in honor of Dad. So, Dad, if you're watching, I love you. Thank you for everything. All right, so here we go. Sure, I'm on the page here. Yeah, okay. Now I'm thinking about what to use tonight. I was kind of leading up, thinking a little bit about it. I might go with my ebony layout pencil, which is nice. I might go with just like your HB graphite. This is a Faber-Castell. Don't always use Faber-Castell, but in that case I do. This is my layout pencil, which is sort of similar to this, but by Generals. It's called the Layout Extra Black number 555. I'm thinking I might actually end up inking this at some point. Maybe not this run, but next run. So whatever it is, I'm not going to press too hard because I'm probably going to end up inking a little bit over the top. So I don't want anything too rough or too leaving too much graphite on the surface. I'm going to give myself sort of a penciled example here. All right, I've also got an image here of Pops, which I'm sort of looking at. Help me out. Okay, so I'm going to sort of start with kind of blocking in a little bit of this bubble. Something kind of circular. I don't even know if you guys are, this is making it to the screen. And I'm not so concerned about getting an exact helmet, like perfectly. It's more like a helmet, a sci-fi space helmet. So I'm kind of looking at some helmets here. And generally speaking, there's this kind of rotating piece, which means that usually some portion of this, there's like a secondary piece. So we have a little bit of the back here with the idea that the glass sort of rotates out like that. Tends to be a little bit of a band here. helmet seals. And then it looks like we're pretty much, once we're sort of below that, we've got a few other straps. They kind of wrap in here. And all kinds of miscellaneous stuff. All kinds of wrapping stuff. You know, I don't know what all this gear is. I have to be honest. I don't know what all this is. But I'm looking at a couple different references of like helmets and space helmets, and they all kind of have some of the similar stuff going on here. Some NASA helmets. Looks like the older helmets had a little bit more like the old Evel Knievel, but I like the idea that the dome is more wide open. Sort of some straps kind of coming in here. Bit of the shoulder starting to I have to move myself a little bit because believe it or not, my lights are kind of giving me a little bit of a glare here. So there's all kinds of secondary straps and oh boy, we got all kinds of stuff. Seems like there's a patch. Everyone seems to have their insignia somewhere as well. So I kind of think my dad was always a big fan of NASA. And being a kid that grew up in the 80s, we were glued to the television with the shuttle program. So I think we might be so we're kind of looking at NASA. I'm just going to lightly block things in for now. So NASA's got its kind of logo. You know, these spacesuits bulk everybody up, so it's really kind of tough to see what a human's actual proportions are underneath all this gear, all this garb. This looks like the kind of suit that they could spacewalk in, for sure. Looks like there's this sort of interior suit. Or maybe more of a cockpit suit. I don't know if this is the actual walking suit. Not super important to me. I might decide to scale things back a little bit. I'm not sure how much of this full glass I want to use, or if I want to partially all right, so now I'm kind of jumping over and looking at pictures of my dad, and of course, I've got bunches of them. I realize this is not the most interesting, but let me get my photo ready here. I kind of put together a couple. Okay. So it looks like these astronauts always have their heads sort of immersed in the helmet. Like they look dwarfed inside the helmet, right? Okay. Want the head to be kind of tilted back a little, like there's that sense of looking up at wonderment, looking up at the stars, and head's going back, which means we're looking at eyes that were kind of looking up a little bit. Holst Planets. Great album if you ever get a chance to take a listen. So we're kind of looking at something like this. Head's kind of looking up. I'm going to take out a few of these other lines. In a weird way, it's just sort of a portrait of your dad, but it's kind of putting him in this outfit. So I got the head inside with the idea that the neck is kind of immersed. I am not seeing my pencil very much. I think it's my lighting is kind of making it difficult for me to see the head. I might be a bit too far forward, actually. Yeah, I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to move this back. Okay. And I'm going to do my dad a little bit older. Y'all don't know the look of my dad, so you won't really know, but you'll have to see it as it emerges here. Except for those that might be watching that know my dad. Okay. Looking up at the stars. This feels a little bit better. Their head seems so swimming and lost inside this helmet. It's amazing. These helmets have to be so... Okay. All right, so we're inside the helmet now. I am not able to see very much. These lights are killing me. I have to switch to something darker. All right. Okay. I'm going to work on Dad's face a little bit. I'm going to have him looking up, so we're going to be... probably doing something along these lines. Come down a little lower here. think a mouth a little bit open would be cool. As if he had seen something kind of amazing. A little bit of facial hair here. My dad used to have a pretty good sized beard back in the day. But in his later years, he's gone a little bit tighter, a little smaller. So my dad was also my teacher at one point in high school when I had my dad for physics. And he was a great teacher. Fantastic. The kind that you want teaching you physics. He made physics fun. All my toys would disappear into his classroom, and I would find them years later as he had used them for demonstrations and all kinds of fun stuff. He made physics fun, which I think for a lot of people, the math and the calculus made it scary. But my dad made it approachable, and he wanted everybody to be able to understand physics without it having to be so, that without all the math. In other words, that, excuse me, that you could have the principles be there without necessarily having to do the calculations. You could still understand the principles and learn something and apply it to your life. And I love that. And as a teacher myself, I think I have very much inherited that same kind of thing as Dad. I like the idea of kind of his hair being messed up. It seems like spacesuits always do a number on people. But my dad wanted, everybody to be able to understand the beauty of physics, not just people who could do the high-powered math. So he taught not only, AP physics and stuff like that, but he taught a lot of teachers how to teach science. So up-and-coming teachers, he always did workshops in the summer and training for up-and-coming teachers. But in his own classes, in addition to like AP physics, and he also taught general physics, which was the physics class I was in. I always felt bad for him, that he must have been kind of disappointed that I wasn't a better math person. But I don't think so. All right, we're getting there now. Let me check, see how this is looking, by the way. Whew, we could be tighter. I think I'm going to go in a little bit closer because we're just a bit far away. So I have this handy dandy zoom I can do. So we've been using this a little bit last time, so I'm going to go in a little bit tighter. Waiting for the delay here. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Not focus. Zoom. Yeah, there we go. Let's go in a bit. There we go. Sorry, folks. I'm sitting there hitting the wrong button. I also think I'm going to try to go... There we go. Okay. See if you guys can see me a little bit better here. I'm working pretty light, so nothing here is very dark even to begin with. So I've kind of blocked in the face, and sorry, camera operator and speaking don't go well together. Give me 1 second while I manipulate my controls here. All right. Okay. I've got to get some multiple windows going because this is just too crazy to operate all this. There we go. And let's go here. And let's go here. All right. Okay. Where were we? Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, talking more about my dad, he really wanted physics to be accessible. And there were a number of physics teachers in his time that were trying to do the same thing. You know, make physics available to not just the heavy math people, but to everybody. That when you hide your plane on the highway, going a certain speed, you'll understand what hydroplaning is and why driving fast in the rain on a wet street, not a good idea. And what are some of the things that you could do to prevent that? And I think that's what he was more interested in. It was like how to make physics useful for people every day. And I think he did a wonderful job of doing that because he created demonstrations for people that were using everyday scenarios. And this is where like the toys came in and using weights and momentum, and we did a model rocketry and we did calculations, and you know all the principles of physics were basically kind of brought in through this idea that this stuff goes on every day around you, and with a little bit of knowledge you could really put yourself in a safer position and maybe even predict a little bit of what might happen and keep yourself out of harm's way. Or it might be kind of neat. You might be able to predict where something might be or how something's going to react, and that might help you in some way. So this whole idea that physics was for everybody was something that my dad really believed in. And he made physics fun and approachable for his students. And I always loved and admired and respected that so much because I was not a super high-powered math person. And I understood that these principles were useful. These were things that people could use for good and to help themselves and to prevent, um, accidents. And not that accidents weren't going to happen, but just that we could use these things to help people with some common sense and some understanding about how the world works and these principles of momentum and how an airplane lifts off the ground, how something so heavy could actually manage to get off the ground. It's amazing. You look at the size of aircraft and you think, oh my God, how's that ever going to lift off the ground? And what is lift? What is buoyancy? Maybe even a little discussion around like, equals MC squared. Um, and not that we would necessarily ever have quite the capacity to understand, Einstein, but you could at least appreciate what these brilliant minds were trying to do. So my friends would always say to me, your dad is hilarious. Plus, my dad's a funny guy. Most physics guys are pretty funny. I think they have a sense of humor about them. My dad taught me many, many great lessons. My dad was always kind of fighting for the underdog, too, which I always appreciated. I guess maybe I was kind of the underdog. I don't know. Not really. Sometimes, I guess. Aren't we all? But I think he had no ego about him. Has no ego about him. Even to this day. Genuine great man. I love you, Dad. He's taught me to be a good dad, a good artist. He has these amazing blue eyes, too, which he gets from his mother. My grandmother had these amazing blue eyes. So my dad and I would watch 2001: A Space Odyssey and even 2010. Stanley Kubrick, I think maybe one of his best movies. Perhaps his best. And they got a lot of the physics and the science right. So that was impressive. Like when they go into space, there's no pew 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 and jets, and it's silent. It's a vacuum. There will be no sound in space. And they got that part right in the movies. So, but silence can be deafening and scary also, and I think in those movies 2001, the silence of space is paralyzing. If you ever go into space, if I ever get a chance, I've been having this discussion with myself lately. Like, if I had a chance to go in my lifetime, would I go? Would I take it? And I don't know if I would or not. To be honest, now that I'm a dad, I have a lot of concerns about wanting to be here and not take risks anymore. But maybe if I could just go into space, not travel deep space, but just like go into space, like this rocket that went, was it this week? We had a rocket that went up where these non-NASA, non-scientist people, not non-scientists, but I guess non-space organization, non-governmental group sent somebody into space, and they kind of went up and came back down, and sort of the first non-astronaut to go into space. I don't know if that's true, if it's the first one, and it kind of opens the idea up to this thing of like, well, what if as civilians we could go into space? Like, would you go? Would you go into space? If someone said, hey, you could jump on a rocket, take a ride up, go up, feel the weightlessness, and come back down. That's all. Just go up and feel it like a ride. Would you do that? And I have to say, I feel like I would. I have to be honest. Honey, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I feel like maybe just once in my lifetime. Not yet, but maybe someday. Just to feel that the blackness of space and the weightlessness, and just to kind of see what that feels like. I mean, come on. Right? Would you do it? By the way, the chat's open. If you want to drop in and say hello. I love hearing from friends and fellow Twitchers out there that might be cruising through. All right, so I got to get the dimension on this nose. So we've got a little bit of a back nostril. And we're almost in alignment with the front nostril. My dad's probably like, make me look younger. Actually, he probably wouldn't. But I'm going to make him a little bit rakish. Like, I love this hair, this idea that he's got this kind of wispy hair going. It's a little cut short because he's been an astronaut in training. Seems like the astronauts all end up cutting their hair short. Anyway, my dad, my hero. Always in my thoughts. Being a dad these days, I know. It's funny how you go through life always assuming and thinking that you understand the full picture, and then as you get older, you realize you didn't understand shit. And as you become a dad, you also realize, like, your kid's doing the same thing now, and you're seeing the kid do the same thing you did. You're like, oh my God, all those nights my dad tolerated me when I asked him 1,000 questions about things and wouldn't leave him alone to do his work because I had to bother him, because I had to ask him or talk to him. And him probably going like, God, I really got to get my work done, kid. I got class tomorrow. Well, goes around, comes around, my turn. Hence the late night art dad. But I love it. I love the questions and the curiosity and the ambition and the drive, and it's the greatest part that I think about all the nights my dad would tolerate me when he had work to do, and I'd be bothering him at his desk and be grading papers and going like, I gotta get to work. Let me work. All right. Not bad. We're getting there. All right, I got to make my mind up about this sort of half helmet. So it looks like a lot of different types of helmets here. But I like the sort of half open, not full glass dome. Although it looks like there might be some that are kind of open. Sort of an outer shell. Oy vey. What am I going to do here? There's like a shield that ends up coming over the top. Looks like most of them have some sort of secondary shield, probably for like ultraviolet light or something they can pull down, or a polarized lens or something. And then they've got a clear one that they can just see through. So let's see. So I'll do a secondary glass piece. Sort of inside one. This will be that maybe kind of ultraviolet one. It's like a little bit of a ring. A lot of this kind of, I think, creativity for me and dealing around space too had to deal with the TV shows growing up for me as a kid in the late 70s, early 80s. There was a lot of space TV shows too. I think the whole space theme was really big in the world. The shuttle program, and so there was everything from like Space 1999 and um, up to things like Buck Rogers and Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek, of course. But even the technology thing like was really big. I remember it was like the Bionic Man, the Majors, just the whole concept of like technology, space travel, superheroes through the technology and through science innovation, that somehow with the science they were able to rebuild. And then of course Star Wars changed the whole thing with the sort of, it wasn't really like science fiction, but it was more like storytelling in space. And of course the science wasn't very good or accurate, excuse me. I'm using a block to keep my pad up here. All right, how we coming along? How you guys doing out there? Tea break. Take a sip. All right, let's get to work on this gear a little bit. I'm also thinking I might do a little bit of a fun space background at some point. I don't really know what. I don't think I'm going to do that on this one. This is just going to be the drawing for this time. But I do think that some sort of fun tonal background will be really cool. Sort of curvature of the bubble. I think next time, I think I want to do something with ink. Now I'm just putting some sort of details, mix meshing some of the details from a variety of suits. Little things that kind of look symmetrical, or I don't know what all these things do, but seems like patches are really big on astronaut suits. And I guess kind of American flag would be good over here. Nice. Thanks, Yuki. If you're joining late, this is a tribute to my dad. My dad, who was a physics teacher and a lover of astrophysics, and got me curious about space in my artistic career. So this is a drawing of my dad, which I've just been kind of wanting to do. I've kind of had this image in my head for a while. So I'm giving it a shot. Thought it might be kind of fun. Little tribute to Dad. I'm probably going to split this into 2 sessions just because we're a little bit on the late side here. I don't know what time of day it is where you guys are, but it is on the late side. The kid's in bed already for a while. So finally was able to steal away a little time and do some streaming. You guys are having good streams out there. If you're wanting to see more of my streams, of course, yes, I am on Twitch, which is, if you're watching this live, that's where you're watching this. If you are catching this on the recap, then you know all my old streams go to YouTube afterwards. So you can check me out, YouTube, Trey Gallaher. You can see the spelling if you can't get it quite right in the About section there. I have a Discord channel for the stream here. And if you want to kind of keep up on the stream news or continue the discussion a little bit further, I'd love some feedback. Or if you have something you want to share with me or anybody at the Discord channel, you can post it there. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. And of course, you can catch me on Instagram, all that good jazz. My webpage, treygallaher.com. It's all right there above me. Usually out here either Saturday nights or Sunday nights. All right, I think I need to go in with a little bit more refined detail. I'm switching over to a mechanical pencil just to give me a little more point. Using mostly graphite. I try to use HB unless I'm going to do something exclusively graphite, because I don't want too much lead buildup. I'm actually really not caring for the lead in this guy. It's very silvery. I think I might go back to my pencil here. It's a little bit bolder. This is a layout pencil. This is a General's ebony not ebony. That's the other brand. This one's General Layout Extra Black number 555. I love this pencil, just for general, like, kind of all-purpose rich graphite. But it doesn't smear as much as, like, say, a number 6B or something like that. This puppy, it gives you nice rich tones without smearing the way soft graphite does, and it's not as shiny. So I think it's really kind of a composite of graphite, maybe carbon or something like that, mixed. Whereas something like this is strictly graphite. So it gives you something kind of rich to work with. And somewhere around here, I lost my pencil. Oh, here we go. The other one I like to draw with is this guy, which is also very similar. This is an ebony layout pencil, which is now made by Prismacolor. And this is really kind of cool too, because it gives you nice rich tones and without being real smearing. So, but I think I'm going to ink this next time. So this is really just getting things kind of blocked in. A little bit of a late start today, so. But next time I'll come in and ink this guy. So we'll do a little bit of a flag over here. There's kind of these planular changes. These suits are so bulky and pillowy that it tends to create these planes where things kind of change direction. I'm not going to indicate that too much here with a lot of graphite, but there is definitely... Oh, we were talking about science-influenced television shows. So yeah, growing up, it was those ones that we mentioned, but also The Incredible Hulk. It was just this whole thing of like Spider-Man, radiation. Radiation was big. Radiation was making everything go wonky. So whatever it was, radiation was kind of behind it. I gotta check out my NASA logos here. Hold on one sec. Hope you guys are having a good one out there. Hope you're drawing along with me, working on something, passion project of your own. I love having you along. Chats are open. Feel free to drop me a line. Let's see here. I gotta check my logo here. Kind of want to get the now. I know it's got like the orbiting red line. Oh yeah, that's right. Pfft, duh. It's like you've seen it so many times in your life. So I'm going to come back in a little bit. The NAS is a little bit. Right. Ooh, I'm getting all kinds of wonky over here. All right, so we've got this kind of, woo, comes in front of the S, over the A, probably something like this. This is a patch, so I don't know how far off we can make it with the patch. We've got some stars. I'm going to have the arm cut in front. This is some sort of strap bag or something that's probably going to go over the back. So got some little patches. All right. Not bad. Pretty good. I think good enough for a nice little sketch drawing block in here, and then next time we'll ink this thing. I don't usually draw on the pad here, but I have this pad I'm drawing in, and it's a little heavy. All right, now let's figure that in the stars we'll probably be seeing some nebulas or something kind of circling around. There's usually some lights, reflections kind of happening. I like the idea that maybe we're going to see some planets maybe orbiting in the reflections, or not. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, Pop, I think for tonight this will be a little bit of a shorter one, but we'll finish you up next time. Again, usually Saturday, Sunday nights, I'm usually out here. Usually a little bit on the later side. I got a little guy, so I oftentimes don't get the peace and the quiet to stream until later. But hopefully you find yourself up late with me and we can work together. I'm trying to work on an earlier time, but lately I've just been so busy during the days. Just have not been able to it's funny, we look at our parents probably more than we've ever seen even ourselves. You think? No, maybe not. I guess if you look in the mirror every day, you're seeing yourself a lot more than you've seen your parents. But next to your own image, your parents have got to be the one thing you've probably spent as much time looking at and looking up to. And I don't want that eye to become too robotic. A little lower. All right. Check back on Dad here real quick. I could just see him up there. See my dad do in this position, he'd be thinking about something. He'd be thinking about, like, now how far is that? That's got to be a, let's see, if I'm thinking about that right, that's got to be about, isn't that neat? Isn't that cool? So he's got to have a little bit of this kind of thinking quality to him. Won't matter anyway. This is all gonna get inked, so I'm not gonna finesse it too much. But I got a pretty good block here. All right, guys. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this time. I've got to get my butt to bed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out with me. we'll ink this puppy next time and take it to a finish. Maybe add a little bit of white highlights on there. That might be kind of fun. And this might make a fun gift. My dad's birthday's coming up. Maybe get a kick. I haven't done a drawing for him in a while. About a possible signature. Someplace kind of tucked in over here. May have to move the flag over just a little bit. We'll do something fun with ink on that. Figuring that light's probably going to be kind of shining in from above, so we'll get into some of the details of the inking next time. Yeah, that's looking good, Pop. This is going to be fun. This will be a fun one. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I had fun. I hope you did too. I hope you got a little something done while we spend these late hours together, or early hours. And I hope you have a good one. Remember, let's take care of each other. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. And let's be good to our planet. We've only got one. Let's take care of each other and take care of ourselves and this planet. Okay? Keep on your passions. Have a great week. And I'll catch you guys next time. We'll ink this thing. All right? Have a good week. Take care. Bye now.